The 25th Hour Radio Show. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to the 25th Hour Radio Show today. On the phone, I have former Major League Baseball player Steve Sax. Steve, thanks for taking time out and joining me today.
My pleasure, Rob. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today, Steve?
I'm doing great. Good to be with you.
Steve, if you don't mind, let's take a quick trip back in time. Can you recall what initially got you interested in the sport of baseball? I mean, what age are we talking about here?
Well, I had a life goal, a passion, if you will, from as far back as I can remember. I was about 5 years old when it felt right to have a bat in my hand, and it felt good to hit a baseball, and I kind of knew what I wanted to do from that point on. So I could say, as far back as I can remember, about 5 years old, I had a goal.
Every kid who plays baseball, be it Little League, Corey League, junior high, high school, dreams of making it to the professional level, but only a small percentage actually do. At what point did you start to realize the dream of making it to the big leagues was actually in your grasp?
Well, it was kind of a gradual thing. I always had that passion. That's one thing that I think I had more than a lot of kids, is I had a passion to want to do it. I don't know that I had a ton more talent. I mean, when you get in the minor leagues, you find out that everybody is the best player in their respective areas of the United States or where they grew up or wherever. It could be, the Latin American countries as well. There's some influence there. But I would say that, when I first thought that I could make it to the big leagues was probably when I was in the minor leagues and working my way up, getting close to Double-A ball. I thought there was a possibility that I could do it then. But just to get drafted, I felt that it was a possibility when I was in high school. I was getting scouted when I was 16 years old, and then I was drafted in the ninth round by the Dodgers when I was 18. So I was getting scouted early on, but to actually make it in the big leagues, to that pinnacle was probably close to my second or third year in professional baseball. I felt there's a chance I could do it.
Steve, there's a funny story I've heard you tell about signing your first contract with the Los Angeles Dodgers and you growing up being a San Francisco fan. Do you mind sharing that story?
Oh, yeah. It was like in watching the game of the week with my dad and my brother, growing up in Sacramento. Anything north of Fresno, you're indoctrinated at birth as being a San Francisco Giants fan, and that's what I was. I loved the Giants growing up, hated the Dodgers, and I can remember, like I said, watching the game of the week, and I told my dad, as my brother was there within earshot as well, I said, if the Dodgers ever drafted me, I wouldn't play for the Dodgers for $1 million. And that was me back in 1968 at the age of 8 years old. And then 10 years later, when those Dodgers drafted me, it actually took $985,000 less for me to sign with the LA Dodgers.
That's a great story, man. That's a great baseball story. Legendary. Yeah. And from that point on, you played professionally for 18 years. You took home the Rookie of the Year award in '82 and 2 World Series titles, all while playing for the Dodgers. You finished up your career playing for the Yankees, the White Sox, and eventually the A's. And what I'm leading up to with this is, how tough is it for a baseball player to get settled in with a team and be traded to another team?
It can be tough. I left the Dodgers as a free agent and went to New York, so I wasn't traded there. I gave my permission because I had a no-trade clause in my contract to be traded from the Yankees to the White Sox for 4 players. And I knew that, my skills were starting to go on the downside, and it was closer to home, Chicago was. And so I okayed that trade, and I wanted to start thinking about, winding down my career, and that's what I did. So it can be devastating on one side for some players, as you saw Wilmer Flores when he thought he was traded during the playoffs. You saw tears in his eyes and the whole thing, and they showed that, during the playoffs, some clips of what happened during the year when he thought he was traded. So it can be hard on some players, but for guys like me, it can be a welcoming thing too.
Yeah. Will you always consider yourself a Los Angeles Dodger?
Well, I not only them, but the Yankees too, and the White Sox and the A's, the 4 teams I play for. I have those mementos on one of my walls here in my office, and most success I had with the Dodgers definitely, but I enjoyed playing for all those teams, and the Yankees was really great too. Because to play in the old Yankee Stadium with the monuments and whatnot was a pretty special thing.
So you're retired now from baseball, but you're definitely not retired from working. You've written a book. You have your own foundation. And let's talk about this book first. It's titled Shift, Change Your Mindset and You Change Your World. What was your purpose in writing this book, and who's the target audience?
The target audience, first of all, is anybody can read this book. Kids can read it, adults can read it, and it's about what you think about in your life. Certainly, is going to grow the most. And so, your emphasis on positive thought and to jettison the bad and keep in the good, even down to trivial thoughts. Very important to keep good thoughts going, keep a positive nature, and create momentum in your life. That's what this book is all about. And so, the target audience could be kids, it could be adults. It could be business people and aspiring people to find a passion in their life, for them as well. So that's what the book's about. The book was actually, it was forwarded, if you will, by Donald Trump. So to get his, go-to and say that this is a book I would read to have it from Donald Trump is a pretty cool thing to get his designation on it.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
Yeah.
Steve, and you're also the chairman of the Steve Sax Foundation. What is the goal of the Steve Sax Foundation?
Well, the foundation was launched last year, and the foundation is mentoring the youth of America. That's what the foundation does. And let me give you an example of how it works, Rob, is that because I am a credentialed life coach, I've taken my life coaching skills and I've used it with kids in that I'll be mentoring one kid, and it's going to be, taped, videoed. And then that video session with that particular kid is going to be sent out to all the other participants that are signed up in the foundation. Now, what they'll gain is they'll gain a perspective about a certain issue with a kid that's basically their same age, same demographic, and they can, gain a lot. They can gain confidence from this. They can gain a sense of where they are in their lives compared to where these other kids are. They can gain a great perspective by listening to this mentoring session with another kid from a different part of the country. And so that's what it's all about, is for them to feel comfortable, to gain awareness, and to gain a perspective on where they are in their life on various degrees of different issues that kids face. They go through the program for 6 months, and if they do that, they attend 90% of the course, and they also do some community service work, along with writing an essay of why they want to go to college, puts them in a pool of eligibility to be able to earn a scholarship. And through our fundraising efforts, we're going to be able to send a lot of kids to college all over the country with big scholarships. So that's what the foundation does.
Now, do you get attached to these kids? I mean, do you have an example of how your program has helped a young person?
I sure do. And you can see some of the examples on our website at stevesaxfoundation.org. It's stevesaxfoundation.org, and they can view some of these. One of our kids is a young man who lives in New York. I met his mom and him in San Francisco some time ago, and his mom said that she'd like to get her kids involved in the foundation. So he came in. He was having trouble taking tests, and his name is Brett, and Brett wasn't a good test taker. So he came to the foundation, and through a few of the lessons that was on there, I've also talked to him personally on the phone. He went out and took his first test since the foundation, and he got an 88 on that test. And I just got a note from him last week. He got 100 on his next test, and he's been a notorious, horrible test taker. So part of the thing about him was just gaining confidence that he could take the test. He said that he knew the material. It's just the testing part itself was something that bothered him. And basically what I told him is the test is already over. You've already done the test because you know the material. It's just a matter of you going out and putting pen to paper and putting it on putting it down there, and just having confidence and knowing that your practice is where your solace lies. You've gone out, you've practiced it, you've rehearsed it, you know the issues. So there's really nothing to be afraid of. So that's kind of the gist of what we got to in the mentoring session. And he went out and he nailed 2 of these tests. So that's what the foundation does.
Like I mentioned a few moments ago, you are staying pretty busy in your retirement from baseball. You're also a motivational speaker. Have you always had the gift of gab?
Well, it's something I work on a lot, and being that I'm an analyst for the MLB radio station too, and on Sirius Satellite, it helps me a lot that I'm always speaking about something. So that's pretty much what I do now is in the mentoring and with radio and the TV stuff that I do. It's all about communication. and it's all about speaking to people about various different topics. And so I'm always practicing it in a sense, as just so happens to be my vocation as well.
Now, what type of audiences do you speak to, and what's the end result you hope they get from one of your speeches?
What I do is I tailor my speeches, Rob, to the audience. The most important thing I do is I meet with the meeting planner for the particular organization or company, and they give me an outline of the 3 or 4 top things they want me to talk about, and what they want their audience to take away from the speech. And so then I go back to my drawing board here in my house up here in Sacramento, and I tailor the speech specifically to that audience. And that's just what it is. The most important thing I can do is get a roadmap from the leader or the owner of the company, and that sets me on a way to go out and write the speech. And then I get it down, I rehearse it, and go there and nail the speech when it's speech day. And I look forward to that a lot. I love doing it.
Well, Steve, is there anything you would like to add maybe that I might have failed to mention before we start to bring things to a close today?
No, I think you've done it pretty good. If people want to get involved in my foundation, I urge them to go to stevesaxfoundation.org. And if they want to go on there and we'll raise some awareness, if they want to let some people know about the foundation, or if they want to donate, whatever they wish to do, because that's what the foundation is all about, raising awareness and raising money to be able to give more away. So go to stevesaxfoundation.org and check that out. I think they're going to like it.
Well, Steve, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you today. Thanks again for being on my show.
You as well, Rob. Thank you for having me.
The 25th Hour Radio Show.